Hi, welcome to episode 496 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Blue Sky. I blog over at the corner of knitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and patterns. Hello and happy Veterans Day or happy Remembrance Day or Armistice Day to all of you out there. It is Monday, November 11th, which in the US makes it Veterans Day, which is a holiday for honoring all of those who have served in our military. So I hope that you are enjoying your day and taking a moment to think about the military, remembering things in the past, and I know overseas it is also poppies are big today. So I hope that you are doing well. Last week was a bit of a rough week for those of us here in the United States, or at least half of those of us here in the United States. It was the general election, and it did not go the way that I wanted it to, and I have a lot of concerns about our immediate future and kind of our long-term future and what is going to come from it, but I will try not to make this a political podcast. Suffice it to say, I did not vote for the person who won, and I do not espouse that winning party's beliefs or many of the things that they are going to try and put in place in the future. And that means that it is going to be a rough 4 years for a lot of us, and potentially further than that. And so my thoughts are with anyone who is more affected by this than I am, and I know that there are quite a few. Pretty much anyone who is a minority or LGBTQ or a variety of other folks who are going to feel this more keenly than I am, because the irony is that I care, even though I'm probably not personally going to be super affected. So I guess I'm just going to leave it there. Today I needed a mug of tea, so I am drinking jasmine white tea. It is from Shang Tea, which is an absolutely beautiful Chinese tea shop located here in Kansas City. It is at Crown Center for those of you who are local, and it is a beautiful shop, and jasmine is calming, and I hope that it will serve me well today. And I am drinking it in this fun mug that is from Greenwood Pottery, and I bought it years ago at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and Maryland Sheep and Wool was about 10.5 years ago, because Roxy was just a baby, and I had a layover in the Chicago airport on my way home, and my sister brought her to the airport, and it was really cute and sweet, and we hung out for a few hours. Anyway, so that is this mug and my memories associated with it. So I will say that I have spent more time knitting this past week than in the last several, and I think part of that is my mental need to do it, and part of it is that I believe some of the exercises that I have been doing have been helping, because I seem to be able to knit for slightly longer periods of time, which I would say nothing could make me happier, but I'm not like super happy these days. But I am pleased that I can pour some energy into crafting. So I have a finished object this week, a new cast on, both of which you kind of know about, and then 2 projects in process. I have spun a little bit, but I'm still not to the end of my bobbin, so I did not bring that with me, and I had intended to sew this weekend, and somehow things just kind of got in the way, and then I didn't end up sitting down to do it, so I have no progress there. So this will be an all about the knits podcast. So the first thing is that I mentioned a finished object, and that is I finished a pair of socks for my nephew. I generally knit my niece and nephew, who are 11 and 8, respectively. Lots of things throughout the year. Often I knit them birthday sweaters. I had already kind of decided not to do that this year, but then with all my tendonitis, I ended up not knitting them much. However, as I was starting to feel better, I decided that maybe I would like to knit them some socks for Christmas. I often knit them each a couple pairs of socks. This year it's just going to be one. And that's okay, because also their feet are growing, and they are getting bigger. My niece has feet that are almost my size, and my nephew is not very far behind, and I do not have very large feet feet. My feet are size 6.5 in the US. So they're not very big, but they are, basically I'm knitting people size socks now rather than itty bitties, which I loved knitting for them. And so I finished a pair of socks for Miles. These are knit picks, and it is, let me think about this for just a minute. It is Hawthorne fingering. It's the Hawthorne hand-dyed fingering. And so it is an 80% Highland superwash merino and a 20% nylon, which is great because kids can be hard on their socks. And it is in the colorway Vancouver, which is blue and green and purple. And at the stitch count that I used, which was 56, on size 0 needles, it ended up kind of doing this flashing and pooling, which I really, really like. I just did a standard sock, which was knit 2, purl 2 up at the top cuff, and then plain stockinette in the round, and then a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and then straight down to the toe. And so there are 2 socks here. I am done. Ends are woven in, and they are ready for gifting. So I was pleased to finish those, as that leaves me basically most of the rest of the month to go ahead and knit Roxy socks. The reason that I'm talking about these so early is because I see my side of the family at Thanksgiving, which tends to be our big family holiday. We spend, my sister and I both spend Christmas with our in-laws. My family is Jewish, and so our big family holiday tends to be Thanksgiving, and we do, we actually, on Thursday we do Thanksgiving, and then on Friday we do makeshift Hanukkah. So the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar. And so holidays move throughout the year. Like there's not usually, Hanukkah is any time between like Thanksgiving and after Christmas. It just kind of depends on the calendar. And so we always just do a makeshift Thanksgiving, a makeshift Hanukkah the day after Thanksgiving, which is, we don't generally light the menorah if it is not the holiday, but we make latkes, which are potato pancakes, and we exchange gifts, and so we kind of just time shift it just so that we can celebrate together. So that's why my knits and gifts need to be done before Thanksgiving, which again does cut me off a month sooner, but it is something that I'm used to because we've done this for years and years and years. So that is Miles socks done. So my new cast on is a pair of socks for Roxy. I have showed you the yarn a number of times, and I actually have finished the cuff and the leg on her socks, and I am just starting the heel. So I'm glad to be at that point. I didn't have like an overly crazy week knitting, but I was very excited to get to that point. And I am using 3 Irish Girls Adorn sock, which is an 80%, no. Let me see if I have the label in here. I'm not sure that I do. Let's see, that's not it. This is it. Okay, so it is 80% merino, 20% nylon. It only says merino on here. It doesn't say superwash, but then the instructions say machine wash gentle. So I'm pretty sure that this is superwash merino, because otherwise I don't know why they would ask you to put it in the machine, because you would want to prevent it from being agitated. So I'm gonna go with that. And so it is the Adorn sock, like I said, which is 80% merino, 20% nylon, and it is in the colorway You Are My Sunshine. And so here is what I have so far. So this is, again, it's just 2x2 up top. I think I did a couple extra rows in the cuff, and then a couple extra rows in the leg to make them just slightly longer, because Roxy's feet are just slightly bigger. And so I am right at the point, I think I actually did the first row. I'm right at the point where I have all the heel stitches on one needle, and I'm doing my slip stitch heel flap, and then I will do the heel turn and get down the foot. And my plan is to just go a few rows longer than I did on Miles, which will give me like an extra ½ inch, and I think that will be fine. So I'm not super concerned. It is November 11th, but I have basically 2.5 weeks until I need to give these as a gift. And my husband and I also drive across the country to California for the holidays. So I will have tons and tons of car time. So if I can finish at least one of the socks before we leave, I am not concerned at all. And I'll probably finish one this week and then even start on the next one before we leave. So I just love those spots of yellow. I like that this is ending up a little bit more variegated than the other. The other one ended up pooling, which isn't a problem, but I really like the way this one's ending up. So, and these are also 56 stitches, because I think they're probably about the same around, and my thought on the cuffs is that the cuffs can be a little bit big anyway, because the socks can always be just a little bit slouchy. So those I'm working on this week. So the next thing that I'm working on is my Nanny Swaymo, and I am pleased to say that I am making decent progress on that. It's not a huge amount of progress, so don't expect to see anything that looks even close to a sweater yet, but I have made some good progress. Oops, I dropped something. I have made some good progress this week. I finished the turtleneck portion, and then I have gotten into the increases. So I am knitting the Excuse Me sweater by Stephen West, and I am knitting it in two colors, that Nightshade yarn from Zen Yarn Garden. Sadly, they are going out of business, and I don't think they have any more available. Their Nightshade yarn is a worsted weight yarn where one of the plies is black, so it kind of gives it a marled look and feel, and so I am using these two colors. I want to say that this one might have been Party Animal because it is just like kind of a rainbow, and then this one is dark purple, but I don't think neither of them came with tags, and I'm not actually sure that they were colors. Sometimes they just do like numbers. They don't always have names. So these are the two colors that I'm using together. I am using the brighter one as my foreground color, so that's kind of the one that pops on the outside, and then this is my background color, and I note that because I am doing two color brioche, so one color kind of stands on the front side, and so the right side facing is the one where I have this popping. So I am knitting it, I believe, one size smaller than the needles called for. I believe it calls for a US 9. I'm using a US 8, and I just moved from a 16-inch to a 32-inch circular because I am moving into the body. So the Excuse Me sweater is called such because it is kind of askew. It has a series of increases and matching decreases that kind of create some interesting lines, and then it moves into the body, which is all increases. But they're not your typical raglan increases. So it's going to create some lines, and the whole sweater ends up slightly askew, and one corner ends up a little longer than the other. And it's a little funky, but I knit one as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden probably 2 years ago now, and I really liked it, and so I am doing this one for myself. And actually there is also an Excuse Me dress and an Excuse Me poncho and a variety of things, and I am going to take the sweater pattern and just add some length to it. So I hope it's going to be kind of a kicky little tunic slash dress. It's not going to be like a real long dress, but I hope to be able to wear it with leggings basically. So I'll probably add 6 to 8 inches to the length, maybe a little bit more, mostly to cover the rear end, and because I won't wear leggings if I don't have a sweater that covers that well. So that is a personal preference. That is not a knock to anyone else. That is just my comfort level, and so I'm really excited about it. So I showed you this last week. This is where I am at. So you can see that this is a bit of the askews or askew in the beginning. So this is the kind of the turtleneck top, and then you can see down at the bottom it's starting to kind of like branch out where I'm putting in these increases. They are marked around, but so I am starting to increase what will be the basically the yoke of the sweater. I mean, it's not really a yoke because it's not like a circular exactly, but the yoke of the sweater, and then I will pull off for the sleeves and work on the body. I still have a fair ways to go because I am only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 increases in, and I have quite a few more to go. That's probably about a third, not quite a third of the way through. So that is sort of where I am. I'm trying not to give away the pattern, but also give you an idea. So it's going to get a lot bigger before we pull some off, but that is a pretty good representation of the colors. So it is just bright pops of color. It reminds me a little bit of 80s. It's like dark purple and then with like rainbow neon, almost neon pops. I mean, they're not quite neon, but there's orange and turquoise and pink and green and just some really pretty colors in here. And I am enjoying this knit quite a bit. It is quite squishy, and brioche knitting makes sort of a netted fabric, which is lovely. Like I said, it is technically reversible because I do have the side with the purple showing prominently, but I'm gonna keep it with the colorful side out. So I am excited about this. I am knitting it for Nanny Swaymo, but I do not have any illusions that I'm going to finish it this month. If I finished it by the end of the year, that would be great. I would be excited about that, and I would have a new sweater to wear in the new year, but honestly I'm not even that worried about that. I'm just so overjoyed to be able to knit again and to enjoy creating and to pour some of my heartache into spending a little time crafting, and so I am just kind of keeping it going with this project. So that is kind of where I'm at, and I'm still on the first skeins of those. I have plenty to go. I believe the sweater in my size calls for between 1,300 and 1,400 yards, and I have about, let me think about this, 2,400 yards, so I have plenty to get me through. I have way more than I need, but I am looking forward to continuing knitting. So the final project that I have on the go, and I actually did a couple more repeats this week. It's not super exciting, but I have my Clapatee on the go. The Clapatee is a pattern by Kit Gilbert. It appeared on Knitty 20 years ago when Knitty started, and because this year is the 20th anniversary, they were sort of having a Clapatee Fest knit along. That's the hashtag you can find it under. It's Clapatee Fest and then KAL if you want to look at it on social media. So that is what I'm working on. I had a skein of locally hand-dyed yarn that I really wanted to use. It's all in blues, and it's really, really pretty. It's hard to kind of see some of the variation, but it's definitely semi-solid. It's got teals and kind of a royal blue and kind of a sky blue in it. And so I am working on a Clapatee in that. It is worsted weight. The skein is a little bit shorter. The pattern calls for 800 yards, and I have between 560 and 600 yards. The skein is marked at 560. It might be a little overweight, but I'm not sure. And so what I am doing is I'm just measuring. I measured like the first. So the Clapatee is knit on the bias. It is a free pattern from Knitty, and it has been rewritten and kind of updated now. So it's in the current issue of Knitty. If you just go look at knitty.com, you will be able to find that pattern, and I am just working from that pattern. And basically it's got kind of a setup in the corner and kind of an increasing section, and then you've got a long section where you're kind of just doing your thing, the middle, the body of the shawl, where it's kind of neither increasing nor decreasing, and then you get to the end of the shawl where it's going to decrease because it's knit kind of on the bias. And so what I did is I weighed my yarn when I started, and then I weighed it when I finished all of the increases and got to like the standard center section. So theoretically, I'm going to go ahead and be able to weigh my yarn and know when I have approximately the right amount left to do the decrease section. So I'm going to use that as a guide and hopefully get, you know, kind of the maximum amount of length that I can out of this. I'm knitting the pattern basically exactly as written, except I did 1 or 2 fewer repeats wide, and I did that because I didn't think it needed to be quite as wide, and I was hoping to get more in length. So basically I was hoping to be able to wrap it more around my neck, so I shrunk the width just a little bit, and it's still going to be plenty wide. So this is what I have so far. And see, it's going to be plenty wide. This is probably almost a foot wide, probably more than a foot wide. And I have started, the beauty of the Clapatee is the dropped stitches. You are creating stitches and then you are knitting them, and then at some point you are dropping them down. And so you get this really cool pattern. And actually the Clapatee is meant to be worn this way with the reverse stockinette section in front. And so it's just supposed to be kind of a, and you can block it, and I probably will a little bit, but it's definitely supposed to be kind of a not wrinkly, kind of a nubbly, textured, stylish wrap. And so I have quite a bit done, but I still have quite a bit of my ball left. Like, I have a ways to go. So I am just working a repeat on it every so often, and I'm loving all these colors. I don't know if they're all showing up. The nice thing about the reverse stockinette side is it also kind of blends the colors. So that is what I'm working on, and I am knitting this on a, I don't even know what size needle, let me tell you. I believe it's what the pattern called for. It's an 8. I can't remember if that's what the pattern called for, but I wanted to knit it on a largish needle, both because the yarn is, it's a very nice worsted weight yarn, and it's going to bloom some. It's a superwash, but it's a nice, like, full worsted weight, and it's going to bloom some. And also I wanted it to be kind of light and airy and textured, and again I wanted to get as much length out of it as I could, since I'm, you know, like 200 yards short from the pattern to get the same dimensions in the pattern. So I'm very excited about it. It is a great knit, and I presume this will be accompanying me on my car trip as well. And this is for myself. I'm actually really kind of enjoying getting back into knitting for myself a little bit. I won't be able to do it too much longer, mostly because I have so many things for myself and so many items in my stash to wear, but I am enjoying kind of working on a few special items and taking my newly reclaimed knitting time back and working on things that I really, really want to work on. So those are probably the projects that you're going to see for at least the next several times. I am starting to think about what I am kind of going to finish this year and what I want to start for next year. I have a few projects that I'd like to work on. I have a few projects that I would definitely like to get back to and finish. And I will probably be reevaluating, you know, how much I'm going to knit for myself versus other people as I see what I can do. I did sign up for a retreat for next year. I'm very excited. Two good friends of mine are putting on a spinning silk retreat here in Kansas City. And so I have signed up for that. It's going to be one weekend in February, which I think is going to be lovely because, of course, February is gray and boring. And I have not really done a retreat or some kind of fun knitting or spinning thing in a while. I'm hoping that my arm will be better enough that spinning for a chunk of a weekend is not going to be too much trouble. I do hope to get back into spinning more, but I'm just trying not to push things and kind of see where I end up. So I think that is it for this week. I hope that you are doing well. If you are American, I hope that you are getting through this time right now. Oh, I did want to say, well, I don't even know if I want to go there. At the beginning, you may notice that I left Twitter out of my intro. I have more or less decided that I'm not going to be on Twitter anymore. I haven't literally deleted my account because I don't really want anyone to take my user ID and use it. But I decided kind of after the election that that is not a healthy place to be anymore. I spend less time on Facebook these days. Mostly I keep that for work. And kind of the primary place where if I'm going to post is going to be Instagram, and that's not because I love Instagram, but I do like taking photos and posting them there, and I do like seeing what you all are up to. So that's probably the primary place to reach me on social media. I do check Ravelry, and then you can always reach me at my email, which is thecornerofknitandtea@gmail.com. The website will continue to be updated with show notes and other things. Links do not go to Ravelry. If the only place to find the pattern is on Ravelry, you will find it unlinked there. And if you are safe to use Ravelry, you can find it there. I generally try and knit with patterns that are not only on Ravelry these days. It is getting harder and harder to be part of a world that is accessible and inclusive to everyone, and that is something that I truly believe in. So I am really trying to put my money where my mouth is and work only with things that are available to everyone. And yeah, I guess I'm just going to stop there. I wish you a good week ahead. I wish you lots of crafting time, either because it is fun for you or because it is meditative for you and brings you some kind of joy. I wish you luck in getting through the next week in this tumultuous world, and I'll say I'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Happy knitting, spinning, embroidering, quilting, whatever craft brings you joy, and happy sipping. Have a cup of tea and try to find a little peace in your corner of the world, and I will see you next week. Bye.